Audio Jungle.
Political tension clouds handing over of house in Manchester. There were tense moments during the handing over of a two-bedroom house built under the new social housing program in Grovemount near my gully on Friday after a disagreement between two political representatives over who should be allowed at the function. The disagreement between the representatives, namely Manchester North West Member of Parliament Michael Phillips and his opponent Damien Young, unfolded in front of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Phillips, a member of the opposition People's National Party, was annoyed at the presence of Jamaica Labour Party supporters, led by Young, at the handing over ceremony. Phillips told the audience that he took issue with the move by Young to have JLP supporters crowding the event. During the ribbon-cutting part of ceremony, Young attempted to be a part of the photo op. Phillips again took issue and was joined by Magoli councillor Ron Kennedy in walking away from behind the ribbon before Young left the photo op. When asked why they took issue with each other, both representatives pointed to their reason for being present at the handing over ceremony. Young accused Phillips of being trivial. From my interpretation, the Member of Parliament seems petty, as if he cannot stand my presence at a ribbon cutting for the JLP government has been working so hard. We find it curious that he is intimidated by me and my supporters. We're only here wishing well the recipient of the wonderful donation from for the people of Jamaica, he noted. However, Philip said Young is not an elected official and should not have been at the ceremony. There is no issue. He has no constitutional rights to be a part of what is going on here. He has brought politics to the handing over of the house to a beneficiary who is in need. We cannot be a part of this process. He is not a political representative, and he should know there's time and place for everything, he noted. The tension then continued at 14th Street in Greenville, where another housing unit was handed over. At that point, Young stood to the side of the photo op. Man who allegedly tried to disarm policeman fatally shot. An investigation has been launched into the fatal shooting of a man by the police in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, after he allegedly attempted to disarm a policeman on Thursday night. About 7:15 p.m., the police reportedly conducted a snap raid in search of a suspect in the murder of a man on Wednesday. The police say a man fitting the description of the murder suspect was spotted in the vicinity of a bar, and the police advanced to him. Upon seeing the police, he reportedly went through a gate and into a house along Oxford Road with the police in pursuit. After entering a room in the house, the police reportedly informed him why they were there, but the man grabbed onto one of the policeman's gun and a tussle developed. He reportedly hit the policeman during the tussle and was shot and injured by another member of the police team. The man, whose identity has not been disclosed, was taken to the Spanish Town Hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. The Independent Commission of Investigation has launched a probe into the matter. New alley bridge to cost $1.2 billion, stated Margon. It will take $1.2 billion to replace the problem-plagued alley bridge in South Clarendon over the long term, says the minister with responsibility for works, Robert Margon. The important artery, which connects communities to southwest Clarendon and beyond, was severely impacted by Hurricane Beryl in July 2024. It's located in a low-lying floodplain, makes it impassable whenever there is heavy rain, and the approach to the bridge is now in need of repair. Morgan, who disclosed the figure to replace the structure, was responding to questions from Member of Parliament for Clarendon South-Western, Lucian Cousins, during Thursday's sitting of the Parliament Standard Finance Committee examining the 2025-2026 estimates of expenditure. Cousins questioned whether there was a provision in the budget cycle to effect repairs to the approach to the bridge, which poses a risk to motorists and pedestrians. Morgan said he became aware of the problems with the alley bridge in mid-2024 and explained that it is not quite simple to effect the repairs because the bridge is in a very particular low-lying area. He shared that the National Works Agency has been asked to undertake an assessment of what the cost of the bridge would be. In the meantime, the minister said short-term remedial work on the entrance of the bridge has been estimated at $45 million and will be undertaken within the next 6 months. Government outlined plans to acquire more land to facilitate large housing projects. The government will soon outline how it plans to go about acquiring more land to facilitate larger housing development projects with up to 10,000 units. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been responsible for the housing portfolio, said details of the plan will be explained when he makes his contribution to the budget debate, which starts next week. Speaking at the National Housing Trust groundbreaking ceremony in Mount Nelson, Manchester, Holness acknowledged the concern of many Jamaicans who are unable to afford a house. Holness said the intention is to have developers scale up their capacity for large construction projects. He said the government will assist developers with land, among other things.
There are many Jamaicans who are still very much worried and concerned, indeed disturbed, that they can't get a house. And at the same time, we must acknowledge that the NHT and the private market has been delivering consistently housing. The objective, therefore, is to get the NHT, the HAJ, and the new social housing program to ramp up, to rapidly increase, to scale up housing construction. Right now, the capacity of the housing market, supported by government, in terms of project size, would be about 1,000 to 2,000 units over several phases. And that is really a limit on the private developers. That's really their capacity, what they can do. The next phase of the housing plan is to work with our developers to increase their capacity so that they can take on projects of the scale of 5,000 to 10,000 at a time instead of these relatively small numbers that they are doing currently. And we are studying mechanisms as to how we can support our local developers and contractors to rapidly scale up. We know that the Henan Fifth Group, we know that China Harbour, two of our international contractors who have decided to work in Jamaica, we know that they have the capacity to take on these large projects. The binding constraint there would be to provide the land to be able to take on those large projects. And in my budget debate, we'll speak a little bit more about what we're going to do to both support developers and provide larger plots of land for housing development so that we can rapidly increase the number of houses that we bring to the market to create price equilibrium so that everyone can start to plan and get their houses.
Breakfast to be provided to students in underperforming schools. Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Senator Dana Morris-Dixon, says special nutritional support will be provided to 189 primary and 56 secondary schools in the upcoming fiscal year. The schools identified for support are performing below par, and several of them have students who are in the lower socioeconomic groups and who are experiencing some level of food poverty. Addressing Friday's meeting of the Standing Finance Committee of the House of Representatives, whose members are reviewing the 2025-2026 estimates of expenditure, she underscored that school feeding is critical. We've seen where a number of our children are coming to school without any breakfast. We've seen that for those schools that provide lunch and the children are on PATH, Program of Advanced True Health and Education, that is the only meal they may have. So we've had to be very realistic as a ministry, and we've looked at that and we recognize that we need to do better, she noted. As such, a decision was made to provide these students with 2 meals for the day. A commitment of ours is to ensure that breakfast is also provided. For those schools, they currently get lunch, but we are going to be providing breakfast also, Morris-Dixon noted. Under the National School Learning Intervention Plan, NSTIP, these students are also offering extra teaching time on weekends and during holidays. We have a special program where we're actually putting the best labs in those schools because we're trying to flip the narrative a bit. Because where a school is not performing, it doesn't mean that you should shun them. It means that they need more resources, she noted. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.